Hi friends, it's Lisa from Life with Fife, a podcast where I talk about knitting, creativity, spirituality, how all of those things intersect in order to make life more meaningful and more fun. I also talk about Elizabeth Zimmerman, her way of teaching us how to knit garments without patterns. She's helped me so much in this regard, and I talk about how I've used it in various ways in my own knits. Today, I'm going to give you a short recap of Vogue Knitting Live in New York City, where I was just recently a few weeks ago. And I'm going to talk about this little cutie that I have on right here that I just knitted up in literally maybe 4 or 5 hours. And I saw it on Kate Blanchett and I was inspired to do one of my own. I'm also going to compare two yarns, Owl from Quince and Green Mountain Spinnery's Mountain Mohair. I'm going to talk about how they're different, what they're good for, the different qualities of those really two lovely yarns. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about. Let's get right into it. So before I go any further, I want to talk about this really sweet little piece here. Does anyone else watch the series on YouTube called Fashion Neurosis with Bella Freud? You know, she's related to her. She's probably like the great granddaughter of Sigmund Freud. And so she has a setup where she has her guests lay on a couch and she interviews them about fashion and clothes and just all their thoughts about that. And it's actually a pretty interesting show. She gets some great guests on there. She had Kim Gordon on recently. And then I watched Kate Blanchett, and Kate wore this scarf. And I immediately remembered from my early days as a knitter, seeing this on Ravelry when Ravelry first came out. And I don't think I did it. In fact, I'm sure I didn't do it, but I remembered it and I remember liking it, but I just wasn't sure if it was something I could use. And now I'm like, this is it's so functional. It's funny when you see someone else wear something, sometimes it just inspires you to find a way to wear it. And she was wearing it with a blazer like I am right now. And I just think it's a really cute, warm, I live in Vermont and it has just absolutely been the coldest winter that we've had since I've been up here, and that many people who've been in Vermont for their whole lives are saying it's the worst winter ever. I love it because it's of course plenty of time, and I love the coziness, time and need for knitting, as Elizabeth Zimmerman says about the winters. But it also is really important to dress warmly and to keep your neck covered and your hands covered and your head covered. I just think a really chic way to sort of just throw one on and stay warm throughout the day. It's knitted with one strand compatible cashmere from Knitting for Olive in licorice, and one strand, I can't remember whose silk mohair this is, very, very fuzzy. And I wanted that effect because although I love garter stitch, I still haven't sewn in the ends, so you can see me fiddling with, like, there's some threads that I've tucked back here so you can't see them. Although I love garter stitch and I love the look of garter stitch, thought that it might be an interesting effect with the garter stitch to have the blurred mohair and the two-tone, the blue, it just kind of darkens the blue a little bit, gives it like a moodiness that I thought was really pretty. And it's literally like, you cast on 2 stitches and you just increase until you get to the width, and then you don't even decrease, you knit the width of the bow and then split the stitches. You slip half the stitches onto a double pointed needle and you rib to make the hole to fit the bows through. And then you just pick up those stitches again and you continue knitting in garter stitch around for the neck. And it's really, really, I love, if I could criticize Kate Blanchett's scarf a little bit, which really just goes to show how, like, when you make something yourself, you can actually, so mindful and deliberate and intentional about how you want it to look and feel. And so hers was knitted for her. She's not a knitter, so someone did it for her, and it was in a very drapey yarn, and really accentuated the garter stitch. And it was actually kind of like loose, like it had the quality of a silk scarf. It was very loose, but I thought to myself that it might stretch out after a day of wearing it. And what I really liked about it was the cuteness of the bow. And I thought, I might want to do it in a more structured yarn. And I also, when I started picking different colors, I thought the mohair would be a really nice addition. So this was literally, I started it Friday night, and I finished it Sunday late morning, maybe noon or something like that. And it's a really, really easy meditative knit. And this month, January was crazy for me. It was really, really intense, good things. I'm learning, I'm taking a course. When I come home from work, I have and it's also the winter term at my school, so I have extra teaching assignments. So my day is like from the moment I walk in, I'm busy until 5:30 sometimes. And I get in around 8. So it's a busy, hectic day, and I don't have any time to really do any focused writing. Sometimes I can steal 15, 20 minutes or something off of my lunch hour. But so I'm coming home from work and I'm just feeling really like frazzled and not exhausted as much as I am like just my brain. I'm sure so many of you can relate to this, where I just don't have the focus that I need. I just don't have the energy to focus. And so, I meditate in the morning. I do that every day, and I think that helps me so much. But sometimes, I also have knitting that I want to get done. And so I've just been focusing on simple accessories recently, and the repetitive nature of this kind of knitting has been so good for my mind and for my mood. And of course, there's so much science about that, right? We know that it helps to relax the parasympathetic nervous system. We know that the repetition of knitting is soothing to the mind and helps to calm anxiety. It helps with depression. It helps with all of those things. It helps with memory, right? There's so many good reasons to knit. But just in the moment, it's like it serves a two-part function for me. It's like, well, I can get something done that I really love, and I can also calm myself down and help my brain to kind of recover from the day's frazzled, crazy, hectic activities. It's just been a lifesaver for me lately. It's been a godsend. It's really been so wonderful. And I feel so blessed to be able to knit, right? It's like we have our secret weapon. We have this thing that can just kind of center us and ground us and give us these beautiful gifts as a result. Well, okay, so let's talk about the items that I'm focusing on right now. I'm doing a twisted headscarf. I'll link the pattern below. This is knitted with Owl. This is Owl by Quince, and it's a blend of alpaca and wool, and I think it's Targhee wool. I have it, this is 5 stitches to an inch on relatively small needles. I don't know what these are. I just eyeballed it. I know really good knitters don't do that, but I do sometimes, just because I thought, well, let me see how this knits up, and then I liked it, and so I just stayed with it because I really wanted something very thick. I didn't want something very super stretchy. So this has a little bit of stretch, but it's just enough because what's going to happen is I'm going to sew this piece up here. Sew this together, sew the bottom piece together, and then it's going to get twisted, and it's going to be like a headband that you wear over your ears and your head. When I was at Vogue Knitting Live, I stopped at the Quince booth, and I purchased some of their patterns. I really love, they have some beautiful patterns, and there's a jacket that I want to make that's really, it's a peplum jacket. It's really, really cute. And it's a garter stitch, and it's knitted in Owl, and I just couldn't get over how really nice it felt in the booth. And so Owl feels, it's a little dry to the touch. It's very smooth. I can imagine this is very, very warm. Like just putting my hand in here, I'm immediately like, I could feel warmth. They had a bunch of samples there, and I was looking at the samples, and I know some of those patterns are many years old, like at least 5 or 6 years old. And, there was I didn't see any pilling on any of the sample sweaters, and I asked about pilling, And this seems like a yarn that would be resistant to pilling, although who knows, right? You don't know until you wear something. But this is kind of like a new thing for me, is I really want to try to find yarns that will wear really well. I have some sweaters that are like close to 10 years old now, and the pilling is just, it just kind of degrades the whole thing. And I found that the less, of course, we know that really soft yarns pill very easily, like cashmere. And I could have those for, special occasions. I'm more interested in having garments that will last me for a really long time without pilling and without showing wear. So I would say this one looks like a good bet, but kind of dry to the touch, not as soft. I wonder if after I block this, if it'll bloom and feel softer, because the sweaters at the Vogue Knitting Live were really, really soft. So now I'm going to talk about Green Mountain Spinnery's Mountain Mohair. So here we are. This is my little swatch in this really pretty color. And this is how it looks. It's a thicker yarn. You can see right away, or a lot more stretch to it and a lot more drape than the owl yarn. So the owl yarn, I think, would be really good for sweaters like this garter stitch jacket that's done in pieces, that you want to have like some crispness to the shape of the jacket, and you want it to have a lot of structure. Whereas this, I feel like would be, look how stretchy that is, but look how beautiful, really, really lovely. I don't know if you can see really like the color. Green Mountain Spinnery, they do such a beautiful job with their yarns and their dyeing. Where's my glasses? I can't even see what I'm doing here, but I hope you can see this. Their dyes are so amazing. And I have a video where I visit them and I go through the whole process of how they make their yarns. And speaking about non-pilling yarns, their yarns are amazingly resistant to pilling. And this is so soft. It is really, really soft. This would make a really lovely kind of like drapey, a sweater that you wanted a lot of drape to. This is really beautiful. I have not blocked it, so it probably will bloom and become even more soft after. The stitch definition is really beautiful on this. And I think I want to make just like a simple, maybe a V-neck or something. After Vogue Knitting Live, I took some classes, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But this is Green Mountain Spinnery's Mountain Mohair, which is also a mix. It's American wool and goat mohair, and they're so ethical with everything that they do. All their yarns and sheep are local, mostly local. They spin it themselves. They're just an amazing outfit. Really, really so lucky to have them right here. They're a co-op, which means that they pay their workers fair wages. Their prices are really good. So they're kind of like a really amazing little gem here, about an hour from me. So I love to go visit them and support them whenever I can. And they do a tremendous amount of online shipping and stuff. So check them out, Green Mountain Spinnery, Mountain Mohair. They're currently out of stock at a lot of their most popular colorways. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. And since we are on the topic of yarns, this is also a quince yarn. This is Wren, which is half American wool and half cotton. I think it's organic cotton. Yep, organic cotton. And I loved this color. They gave it to me. I didn't pick it. I was given this as a gift for my purchase at Vogue Knitting Live. I just think it's a really cool color. I think it would make a really great summer top, like a tank or something like that. Really, really cute. And now this feels almost like a linen, but softer than a linen. Green Mountain Spinnery has something called Cotton Comfort. This is what it reminds me of, but it's not as fine as this. Theirs is Cotton Comfort is a worsted wool. This is like something you could make a really lovely, like, spaghetti strap or something like that with this. This is really pretty. And this comes in a broad range of colors. I just wanted to share that with you. Let me just talk for a second about Vogue Knitting Live. It was so amazing. It was really, really fun. It was great to be in New York City. It was great to be with my daughter. She came with me. We ended up staying together, and it was just so great. She had been up here visiting for 6 weeks, and it was so great having her home. And it was a really nice way to end our time together by coming into New York, bringing her into New York. And then, having the Vogue Knitting Live experience together. Although I was busy taking classes, I took 2 courses. I took sloping, doing a sweater slope, which I never heard that phrase before. But it is basically you take your measurements or someone else takes your measurements. It was really fun. I made friends there. You measure your, every imaginable part of your body that could matter when it comes to making a sweater. You measure and you keep track of these, and then she gives you this amazing spreadsheet where you can put in the gauge that you have, and it'll tell you how many stitches to cast on for a V-neck, for a drop shoulder, which is amazing. So I think I am actually going to make with this mountain mohair a drop shoulder would be really, really great. A drop shoulder like crew neck or something like that would look really nice with this drape. Yeah, so really amazing. That was an amazing class. Then I took draping a pattern with Lily Chin. Lily Chin, oh my God, she is a force of nature. That woman is a mad knitter. She's just like it. So this class was like shoo over, just like a force of nature. But I did manage to learn some really good basics about draping, because I love draping sweaters. Some of the sweaters I've made of my own designs have a lot of draping in them. She quickly went over how to make, how to measure yourself and how to make a model for a sweater that you would make in sewing pattern style. So you would make the pieces and then sew them up together, which that's not my style of knitting, but I just loved my brain getting expanded being in her presence. And it turned out that she, I'm sitting there at the place and she says, I see the name Lily Chin, and I'm like, and I text my friend who I'm meeting after this class for some lunch. I'm like, gee, is your friend Lily Chin? Is that who you know? And he was like, yeah, that's my friend. So it turns out like he knows the woman who's teaching the class. And, so it was really funny. Coincidence. Of course, she knew him. They had dinner like the week before or something. So, just love being in that environment, seeing everybody's gorgeous sweaters. And I saw Yumiko. I saw her and I was wearing my Yumiko. I was wearing my Dando shawl, which I love. Her patterns are so amazing, so unique and so cool. But it was just really great to be there and to kind of devote the time and a little bit of money invested in my passion, which is knitting. And to know that I'm growing as a knitter every year, that is such a meaningful thing for me, as I know it is for you. And we should take the time for that. We should care for ourselves in that way. What we do with our leisure is really important, because it brings us peace and it brings us calm and it brings us a sense of accomplishment and a healthy sense of esteem. And so I would encourage you to put yourself to your knitting, give it your 100% if it means a lot to you. And and share with me what's going on with you. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear, what do you think of this little scarf? Did you make this at one time? It's been there for a long time. And like I said, I'll post it in the comments. Alrighty, have an amazing rest of the evening. Be well. Namaste.